My beloved child, if this word found you, it wasn't chance, it was alignment. I drew you here because I needed you to hear me. And if your heart stirred, if your eyes filled, if your soul recognized my voice, then don't let this moment pass unnoticed. What I've begun in you through this message, I will continue. That you must return. Return not just for inspiration, but for instruction. Not just for comfort, but for correction. Not just to feel moved, but to be made new. Subscribe, not to follow a channel, but to remain in the flow of what I'm speaking. Turn on notifications, not to stay updated, but to stay positioned. Leave a comment, not for attention, but to seal your agreement with what I've said today. And share this, not to spread content, but to carry my voice into another life. Come back again and again, beloved, because I'm not done speaking. The next word may carry the release you've been praying for. I will meet you here, every time. Can you sense it? The nuanced lack of clarity in their responses, the way their eyes no longer rest upon you like before, the diminishing promises and the expansive hush in your interactions. They are not stepping away physically, but emotionally. They are silently seeking a route out, not to shatter you, but hoping to spare you from grief. And still, despite their gentleness, sorrow will arise, for genuine love never departs without leaving a residual sound. Yet, dear child, realize this. Their exit is not meant as a penalty, but as a strand woven into the divine plan I am revealing in your life. This person's departure is not due to any inadequacy on your part, not because you were mistaken or insufficient. They will slowly disappear from your path, because their portion in your narrative has arrived at its foreordained conclusion. They have played the part I assigned them for a certain interval of your journey. Certain individuals appear for a brief season, for a fleeting segment, rather than to stay until the concluding page. Should you attempt to cling to them beyond my timing, you not only invite exhaustion, but also impede the freshness I am ready to unveil at the precise moment through the appropriate individual. Hence, as the haze of what has passed gradually dissipates, as you learn to surrender and let me continue composing your story with my sovereign touch, I want you to remember, I do not leave your soul vacant. I do not merely take away, I also provide. There is no drought I sanction without simultaneously holding the promise of a downpour. There is no relinquishment I permit without embedding in it the germ of celestial renewal. Precious one, prepare your inner being, for someone new is on the verge of entering your life. This will not be an incidental encounter. It is a sacred engagement inscribed eons ago in your consecrated timeline. They will not come from your impulsive desires or sentimental urging. I am sending them like a herald, a supporter, a bearer of keys meant to unlock the portals you have long whispered prayers about in secret. This person arrives without grand vows or a flawlessly drawn plan. They carry something infinitely more priceless, a profound insight distilled from their own fiery voyage. They do not hold conventional keys, but rather implements of life, divine faculties formed in submission and tranquility. Among their offerings is the beam of discernment to enable you to distinguish authenticity from superficial glimmer. In a season when false appearances can wear a holy mask, that gift will shield you from forging a binding agreement with the wrong party and keep your heart rooted in the path of truth. Furthermore, this individual brings a restorative aura, a type of calm so extraordinary that it surpasses human reasoning, yet it can soothe the nameless aches within you. They will not press you for explanations of your hurt, nor will they hasten to supply remedies. They will simply remain, a presence so mild, so dependable, that your tired soul will ultimately breathe out after countless days of forced resilience. Not by hollow assurances, but through their steady constancy, they will stand firm. Finally, they will also share an active wisdom, a practical insight to help you handle life's overwhelming dimensions. They will understand how to reorder chaos into harmony, in action, into purposeful motion. They are neither constrained by rigid doctrines nor driven by carelessness. They will spot the concealed details that others overlook, and instead of saying, "Gather your strength," they will inquire, "May I carry part of this for you?" Their precision, their consistent determination in each deed will take you by surprise, because you have long been on the receiving end of advice but have not known genuine companionship. They will not quantify your worth, nor will they insist you transform for validation. They will settle into your world as if custom-shaped for its contours, neither cramped nor overwhelming. No intrusion, no coercion. They come not to dominate you, but to journey alongside you, like two flames glowing together, neither diminishing the other, but together lighting a route already ordained. They will not depict themselves in showy speech, nor will they bewilder you with grandiose pledges. You will not identify them by external appearance or rank. You will discern them by their harvest, by their empathy when you falter, by their consistency in your turmoil, by their respect for the Holy Spirit's guidance living in you. I have stationed them at your side as a shield around the vital calling I have entrusted to your hands. Your meeting will not occur at an ideal juncture, not when you feel strong, not when you imagine you're prepared. Quite the opposite. Your paths will converge while you still tremble, still heal from past wounds, still discover how to rely once more. Still have no fear, for although your emotions may remain delicate, your spirit has undergone careful preparation by me through every restless evening, through every unspoken tear, through every breathless plea, "Lord, help me." I have been expanding your soul, refining your spiritual vision, ensuring that when they arrive, your eyes will not be tricked by outward appearances. You will perceive my seal upon them, and that is precisely why I had to remove the one who preceded them. Not because I willed your suffering, but because I would not permit the old attachment to blockade the emergence of what is fresh. You cannot accept what I offer if your hands insist on clutching what I have declared over. The other person, though once woven into your account, would now stand in opposition to my fresh work taking shape. Their presence would undermine your destiny or prevent this newcomer from fully stepping into the position I ordained. I understand that might come across as harsh, but my dear child, the mission set upon your life surpasses anything you can envision. It is far too important for me to risk allowing anyone to distort, damage, or delay it. You are more than a survivor. You bear seeds of existence and heritage. You carry within you an influence over countless generations yet to appear. Because of that, I refuse to let anything, be it emotion, pattern, or memory, interfere with the outcome I have mapped out for you. This new person will not deplete you by compelling you to become someone different. They will not demand explanations for your sensitivity or question why certain concerns do not resonate with you. They will perceive your essence and value your significance, never requiring proof. They will lift you up in silence, pray for you privately, and walk by your side without urging you to revise your direction. I know your trust has been shaken. People have left you wary of forming deeper bonds. You have felt compelled to cut off every tether, to lock the entrance to your heart. But my child, do not let former disappointments steal the grace I am directing your way now. Not every soul mirrors those who vanished. Not everyone enters your life to inflict wounds. A chosen few are sent by me personally, not to hurt but to mend, not to rob but to restore. They will bring relief to what was bruised. They will swing open gates you believed were permanently sealed. Keep your heart delicate. Remain attentive to my direction with each step you take. When the one I have chosen arrives, your spirit will sense it, regardless of any hesitation in your thoughts. They will echo the very pleas you once voiced in solitude to me. They will remain when everyone else steps away. More crucially, through their presence, you will discover anew that I have never forsaken you, and that my assurances still advance, slow though unwavering, serene though unbreakable. Consequently, my dear one, from this instant, From the very moment these words meet your gaze, start preparing your heart, not by rigidly bracing yourself for what is on the horizon, but by opening your core to the work I intend to accomplish. Adopt an attitude of sacred readiness, not caught in agitated feelings, but anchored in unwavering faith. Let your inner being be fertile soil, no longer tangled by mistrust, worn anticipations, or old hurts, but emptied and awaiting all that is new, that is holy, that is delivered from heaven to sprout and flourish. Begin with the smallest step. Practice quieting your mind. Break the perpetual loop of lingering questions that produce no replies, the endless introspection that saps your energy, the internal debates that never reach closure. Resist clinging to what is finished, and do not permit your thoughts to be devoured by dreads of what lies ahead. I require your mind to be unencumbered, so you are able to hear me. I need your heart to be light, so you can sense me. For what is forthcoming cannot enter a spirit weighed down by skepticism and fretfulness. Embrace surrender, but do not mistake surrender for detachment. It is not numbing your emotions, nor does it mean pretending indifference. It is a deliberate, mindful gesture, a declaration of trust. To yield is to rest firmly in this conviction: that which is of me will endure, and that which no longer belongs will be taken from you with gentleness. You need not clutch everything simply to assert your value. Not all who exit do so because of defeat, nor do all who remain signify they should. Let me govern that. Protect your heart, not by erecting invisible barriers, but by safeguarding that sanctified chamber where I dwell with you. Not because you are embittered, but because you are learning to journey in harmony with me. Some things will test your resolve, certain remarks will unsettle you. Yet, my child, hold tightly to the tranquility I planted within you. Let no individual, be it through heedlessness or malice, coax you off the road I appointed for you. I have not called you to battle skillfully in every verbal conflict or to be cunning in every retort. I have not asked you to justify yourself against every suspicion or to rectify each distorted view. I have called you to be set apart in holiness. Indeed, my child, that is the highest calling. Not flawlessness, but consecration, dedicated for my aims, consecrated so that I may fill you, separated so I might employ you as a vessel for my kingdom. Then, when the appointed hour arrives, when the old acquaintances start slipping away, whether quietly, through solitude, or subdued neglect, relinquish them. Do not keep a tight grip on those I am gently removing from your journey. This does not imply that they are inherently malevolent, but rather that they have no place in the subsequent chapter. Certainly, I recognize the distress it may cause. You might endure nights shedding tears over images unseen by others. Nonetheless, in those tears, I am purging the soil of your inner life, preparing it for the sowing of fresh seeds, seeds of mending, of maturity, and of a more profound connection with me. When they take their leave, resist blaming, avoid growing resentful. Do not let accusations spring from your lips. Choose instead the higher path, compassion. Let your mildness serve as the soft testament of my workings within. Do not chase after those who are gone. Do not attempt to rekindle what I have ended. If they were truly woven into the account I am creating for you, they would not have departed. If they depart, trust in my foresight that extends beyond what you can discern. And when they depart quietly, maintain your calm as well, not out of guilt or self-doubt, but with the silent acceptance of one who realizes certain matters belong to the lofty realms, requiring no human explanation. It is impossible for everyone to grasp the holy pivot unfolding in your existence. You are not obliged to construct a coherent storyline to console other minds. You are not compelled to produce a rationale for each dissolved union. What I dismantle is not your load to bear in mental turmoil. Splendor is not derived from retaining countless people in your circle, but from sustaining unwavering obedience to my voice within your being. Obedience is not mere acquiescence, it is profound reliance on the completeness of my designs. When you remain silent, you grant me space to speak. When you express kindness, you reveal my image in a world longing for boundless love. Recall that you are not solitary on this path. Even if you sense rejection or isolation, I am forever present. I continue journeying with you, gently but unmovably. When you feel compelled to explain, I will whisper in your spirit, "You needn't do that." When you want to respond, I will clasp your hand and declare, "Let me address this in your stead." Therefore, child of my light, let your heart be calm. Allow the stillness inside you to become your loudest proclamation that you belong to me, that your steps are guided not by clamor, but by the Spirit, that you walk into a new era, an era in which extraneous elements will fall away, leaving only those imprinted with heaven's signature. And when that individual gradually fades from your world, you will not discern it through a pointed conversation or a concluding explanation, but through a profound, all-encompassing silence. Not the icy stillness of apathy, but a holy break where a once familiar presence dissolves as though a breeze halts mid-journey. You will sense it as the reverberation of absence in your soul, like a once prosperous land now lying fallow. And at that juncture, if you are hasty, you might try to fill that vacuum by any means. A rapid chat, a passing attachment, a short-lived bond. But dear one, I implore you, refrain from speeding forward. Do not scramble to replace what my hand has compassionately taken away. Avoid filling the silence with clutter solely because the emptiness feels strange. For it is in that very void, in the spot that person once occupied, that I am laying the groundwork for new seeds, seeds of truth, renewal, and a closer walk with me. I require that region clear, receptive, and prepared. I will not pour fresh wine into a container still tainted by the old. Thus, my child, allow me to occupy that empty place. Let my words resound where another's once did. Let my presence become more intimate to you than any human figure. Do not reach for something comparable. Reach for me. For I alone can fully mend. Only I fathom your genuine needs deeper than any uttered prayers. Only I will remain with you, irrespective of how flawed, fragile, or shattered you perceive yourself. Sit beside me. Do not rush off. Do not seek a coping mechanism to dull your hollowness. Deep restoration is not born of frantic maneuvers, but from peaceful confidence. Sit as though you were in a serene meadow, awaiting the dawn to break through the fog. It is in that hush that I will begin revealing things previously unheard, things I held until the commotion subsided, until your heart was poised to accept them. Then you will witness a sacred unfolding. My voice will drench the parched ground within you. Every unoccupied spot once filling you with restlessness will be filled, not by people, but by my holy nearness. Each wound you hesitated to touch will be tended, not by rationalizations, but by my healing hand. Every unresolved question will gradually recede before a peace surpassing comprehension. You will no longer demand explanations for solace. You will no longer crave outside approval to affirm your worth. You will no longer insist on proving you were not in error. You will discover the discipline of peace in unwavering belief. And from that realm, where you decide to remain, to proceed, and to heed my voice, I will start unveiling fresh things before you. New prompts that refresh your direction, not as rigid frameworks, but like streams flowing over arid land. The counsel will appear without force, arising like a divine outpouring within your soul, resembling light reaching a once dark zone. You will detect a sacred stirring, something awakening, ascending, impelling you onward, not out of a fear of being forgotten, but out of certainty that you are being led. Fresh endeavors will be given to you, not because you possess enough might, but because you have mastered dependence. Doors once believed perpetually locked will open again. This time, you will enter them without the heaviness of hesitation. You will proceed confidently, knowing you march alongside the one who orchestrates every stride. You will cease bearing burdens alone because I shall walk with you, not only in words, but through every inhalation, every deed, every second that awaits. Recognize as well, my child, the doors I unseal will not be ordinary. They will call for your undivided presence, your fortitude, your intellect, your spirit, and your wholehearted devotion. I will not push you into unknown places before you are ready. But in choosing submission, you will discover that what used to bring you to your knees will now become the sturdy footing beneath you. The insights from the season behind you will transform into holy instruments, empowering you to truly live in this new phase. You will need awareness, you will need spiritual keenness, you will need to discern when it's time to pause, when to move onward, when to keep still, and when to speak. Yet this I pledge, I will not allow you to meander in obscurity. I will address you, and if you heed me, you will detect my voice. If you look, you will uncover me. If you linger, you shall be filled. Hence, resist the urge to seal the wounds that I have chosen to leave unbandaged. Do not step in to disrupt the course I am divinely guiding. Trust that the hollowness within you is not ruin. It is my invitation, an invitation to come closer to me, to your truest self, and to the plan for which I molded you. That stillness, which might seem like a standstill, is in fact a heavenly current, calling you toward a deeper unity with my heart and my blueprint for your life. And now, dear luminescent child, embed this truth firmly within your heart. The adversary never rests. It prowls discreetly, not with loud havoc, but with crafty twists, inch by inch altering your spiritual alignment. It does not always show up as brazen harm. Sometimes it drapes itself in the sweetest murmur, veiled in rational thought, cloaked in purely human sentiment. Its aim, however, does not change: to perplex you, to blur the boundaries between my cautions and its seeds of confusion. It desires you to interpret my forewarnings as ill omens. It hopes to convince you that if I speak, it signals impending storms intended to engulf you, that if I stir your heart, it means blessings are fading. It wants fear to overshadow my words. It urges you to label a warning as calamity. It craves your retreat in terror rather than your firm stance in trust. Yet, on this day, I intervene to rescue you from that haze of lies. On this day, I address your spirit once more, plainly, forcefully, crowned with holy authority. I do not warn you to instill panic. I warn you to equip you. I do not foretell events so that you may languish in dread. I speak beforehand so you can stride forward in prudence and calm. My alerts are not funerary chimes. They resemble trumpets summoning warriors to prepare for triumph. Therefore, if you sense me softly knocking at your heart's door, do not wave it off as a passing emotion. When you detect a shift in the atmosphere, not with mortal sight, but through spiritual intuition, take a moment. When your heart becomes restless without a tangible cause, when you sense me drawing close in the hush, that is your cue to press in, to sharpen your awareness. For that is how I begin arranging the stage for a grand work in the narrative I am crafting with your life. I am the originator of every holy drama. I never allow night to descend until I have first given a signal. I never permit darkness to encroach without an access point being permitted. If that door must be opened as a form of testing, rest assured I am already at the entrance, holding your hand, declaring, "Walk with me, you will not be unaccompanied." I never issue warnings without also offering preparation. I never let anything transpire without having carved out an avenue of rescue for the beloved. No wind do I endorse without showing you how to construct a haven. No trembling do I allow without having anchored your foundation securely in my truth. Should you feel your footing quiver, recall the periods of training I provided, lifting you each time you faltered. None of that was random. It was your conditioning. My child, let vigilance not twist into worry. A holy distinction lies between the two. Worry is a sprout sown by the enemy, wanting you to forget who governs your existence. Vigilance, however, blooms from wisdom, born among those who sincerely love me. Vigilance arises when you become aware of a spiritual shift while others remain blind to it. It propels you to pause and listen for my direction, rather than frenetically chasing solutions on your own. So, remain watchful, not in alarm but in faith. Pay attention, not to the barrage but to my murmur. Observe, not with nervous eyes but with trusting eyes. I am not merely warning, I am unveiling. I am not just advising, I am summoning. Anyone who heeds my words walks not into despair but into divine coordination, wholly prepared for the radiance ahead. Hence, do not rush, do not panic, do not permit the darkness's half-truths to rend your spirit. You are not a person fumbling blindly in the fog. You are the one I guide, stride by stride, moment by moment, illuminating just enough for each day. You do not require the total layout. You must trust the one carrying it is me. I am orchestrating something extraordinary, my child. Not a downfall, but a revealing. Not a forfeiture, but a splendid shift. And when I stir the depths of your being, when I unsettle foundations that seem steadfast, it is not to unnerve you, but to unmake the old bedrock, so I may cement a fresh cornerstone. My cautions do not signify termination. They are the overture of blessings you never believed you deserved. Do not label the trembling as defeat. Do not view the quiet as my desertion. Do not treat signs as vengeance. You are being notified because you are crossing into an undiscovered region. Before guiding you into that territory, I teach you to recognize my voice in unfamiliar realms. That explains why I caution you in advance, why I do not leave you to wander. That is the reason my people remain attuned, even in wilderness settings. Can you detect it? The silence is transforming. It is not the hush of rejection, but the hush that precedes the opening of the curtain. I am preparing the backdrop. A heavenly appointment draws near, and you, treasured one, take center stage in this chapter. But for you to ascend, you must differentiate the echo of my invitation from the serpent's whisper. You must comprehend that when I admonish you, it is from boundless love, ensuring you never proceed without forewarning. So renew your thinking, defend what enters your soul, choose to exist in readiness, not in fear. When you hear me softly say, remain alert, avoid shrinking away, assuming devastation awaits. Realize that in that precise instant, heaven touches earth, and I am calling you into territories well beyond your mind's reach. I already see everything lying before you. No turn, no curve in your roadway lies hidden from my sight. There is no storm brewing that I have not measured. The strength of each gust, the thrust of each wave. I know it completely, your dreams, your hesitations, and out of my love, I refuse to let you face tomorrow unprepared or caught off guard. I do not hide from you. I am the God who equips. I will not let peril befall you like a swift blade. Rather, I send a breeze first. Yes, it is I who authorize the earliest gusts to brush across your life, but not to subdue you, not to demolish what I am fashioning. These winds do not exist to obliterate, but to awaken. They are not there to ravage, but to refine. They act as alarms for a soul that has grown drowsy, jostling you from areas you have overstayed, from customs held too rigidly, from safe spots never intended for you. And do you realize this? When that wind arrives, it brings with it an offer, an invitation of the holiest sort, to awaken, to open your spiritual senses, to cleanse your heart again, to extend your roots deeper into me. Only those grounded in me will remain unshaken when the terrain quakes. Those who remain shallow will be thrown off balance. Those who embed themselves in my love will be unmoved, even if the very earth splits beneath them. Occasionally, I choose to gently alert you, perhaps through a fleeting dream with images that leave you uneasy at sunrise, not to terrify, but to spark heightened perception within. These dreams, my child, are not mere illusions. When I decide to speak through nighttime pictures, my aim is to pierce corners of your being unreachable by plain logic. If you stay attentive, not quickly discarding them, you will realize that each detail, a door, a visage, a faint noise, holds messages from heaven entrusted to your spirit. Sometimes my messages emerge in simpler shapes. A snatch of words overhead in a bustling area, a casual comment from an unfamiliar face, a look that pierces your heart unexpectedly. Such things might appear coincidental, but my beloved, chance events do not exist in my realm. What the world discards as trivial frequently bears immense spiritual mass. If your spirit trembles in such an ordinary instant, that is me speaking. Do not disregard it. Step away, pray, and inquire, Lord, are you aiming to reach me? I do not stop communicating. The real challenge is the clamor from too many competing voices. Thus, I regularly speak through surprise, to pass by the guardrails of reasoning, to slice through your frenzied routine. I transmit my message at unexpected intervals, through unlikely messengers in a format you do not anticipate. But rest assured, I will never abandon you in confusion amid a sea of conflicting voices. I will verify, I will restate, I will reveal myself in multiple ways until you are entirely convinced. This is my Father's voice. I do not tease you by staying hidden. I am the one who clarifies with patience. When I speak, it will resonate more than once, through varied means, through scripture, through prayer, through the serene resolve that transcends language. You need not drift in uncertainty if you wholeheartedly seek me. Do you know what is most marvelous of all? When you discover how to detect me in the quiet, no longer requiring a startling vision or a booming roar from the sky, but finding a slight whisper sufficient to make you pause and realign. Precious one, my warnings are not designed to scare you, but to safeguard you. Not to make you recoil, but to guide you forward with discernment. The foe wants you to interpret admonishments as misfortune. I want you to recognize that a warning is proof of my love. No one bothers to alert someone they do not value, and my care for you runs profoundly through every moment, every move, every choice. So let your spirit remain alert. Stay sensitive to even the faintest of shifts. If the initial breeze stirs, resist fear. It does not signify the finale. It is the threshold of renewal. It beckons you nearer to me, beckons you deeper into my presence, secured more firmly in faith. And if you decide to heed, you will see that no storm can topple one whose Father has trained them through the very breeze meant to awaken. And my child, life-bearer, the stirrings in your heart, despite lacking words, though they might arise as a subdued echo within your core, are indeed calls from above, not fleeting sentiments or random fears, but divine nudges I am reviving in you, a hush from the celestial realms piercing the noise of life. You could label it spiritual unease, not derived from material scarcity, but from a divine realization that something no longer aligns with the calling I am crafting for you. I see your hesitation. You sense a shift is imminent, and you are correct. But that sensation is not panic. It is the quiver that accompanies heaven's stirrings. The rumble in your depths is not an omen of disorder, but the earliest signal that the Holy Spirit is revitalizing holy terrain. That restlessness is not your loss of control, but my hand redirecting the wheel. Do not attempt to silence it with the known. Do not numb it with your old comforts. Let it sharpen your senses. Soon, another awareness will arise. A jolt, as if you have awakened from a prolonged slumber. You start perceiving differently. That which once soothed you now weighs heavily. The places once serving as your refuge now feel stifling. Do not be intimidated, for this signifies that your spiritual sight has been lit. You have ceased viewing your life through memories, instead glimpsing it under the light of the tomorrow I have ready for you. In that tranquility, you will detect something akin to a ghostly hand softly resting on your shoulder. Neither forceful nor restrictive, but stable and sure. That touch is mine, the one who formed you, the one who composed each of your days before you ever inhabited your mother's womb. Although your vision clings to bygone regrets, I speak with firm tenderness. Look ahead, for the season of reflection upon old pains is ending. Because, dear beloved, there are bonds you must release, not because they did you overt harm, not because they are plainly cruel, but because they have completed their designed purpose. Certain companions exist to guide you on one stretch of road, not to travel with you to the finish. If you cling excessively, if you cannot release someone whose hands no longer hold yours, you will slow your own progress. You will enter a fresh season carrying the remnants of the previous one, and this burden will prevent you from synchronizing with the rhythm of grace I am pouring forth now. You might ask, why should I leave something that still comforts me? And I respond, at times the decent can be the foe of the supreme. Some connections nurtured you once, but once that window closes, if you continue to grip them, they become chains. They make you compromise. They compress your authentic identity. They urge you into quietude when you ought to speak up. They cause you to dread upsetting others, while you slowly drift from my presence. It is not solely relationships. Even behaviors which appear benign, small inclinations, daily patterns that once felt normal, could become impediments in this new realm I am readying for you. They no longer deliver contentment, but weigh you down. They create a barrier between you and the gift I long to provide. You cannot stroll in the free flow of my spirit while clinging to what no longer belongs in your journey. I realize that departing from these attachments is hard. I do not trivialize the conflict inside you. These connections tie you to memories, to sentiments, to a sense of identity once vital. They were part of a narrative where you once thrived. Yet that chapter no longer defines you. I am summoning you, not to strand you in some unknown emptiness, but to usher you into a new land, a place where your breathing is easier, where you are free to embrace the design I formed for you, without struggling to fit a template never intended for you. Remember, being consecrated does not mean isolation. When I invite you to holiness, I am not severing your ties to people. I am drawing you nearer to your divine origin. Holiness is not an austere perfection, but the tender willingness of a heart to respond when I speak. It is the bravery to obey even as your spirit trembles, to step forward when your hands find nothing solid to grip. In that obedience, you will discover something logic can never produce: true freedom. You will sense an unexpected lightness within, a serene assurance not to be purchased by any external condition. Fears once overshadowing you will gradually loosen. Powers that once had mastery will shrink into insignificance. Because once you relinquish what is no longer meant for you, you allow room for my gifts. And my generosity is never half-measured. Therefore, do not ignore those spiritual hints awakening in you. They manifest as subtle signs, veiled with love. They are my whispers from heaven, the ringing of a bell that marks the transition of seasons. Keep your heart tender. Let me tidy the disarray. Let me draw you from lowly places and guide you where my voice reverberates with more clarity than ever. Then, once you truly surrender what no longer carries life, once you dare to say, God, I yield, I will lead you into a new threshold, a deeper plane in your spiritual journey, where my radiance not only lights your external surroundings, but penetrates the unseen recesses of your heart. Do not recoil when my brilliance begins exposing hidden truths, for I must remove hindrances before giving you greater assignments. Before granting you more, I must bring you to a state of sincere self-awareness. Certain truths must be confronted, patterns no longer to be denied, scars once hidden behind laughter, limitations hushed due to insecurities. I will make you identify the cycles you habitually repeat, the reflexes that arise not from mindfulness but from habit, because I cannot allow you to drag these habits into the fresh territory I'm carving out. Self-deceit, my child, is the trickiest snare en route to places prepared for you. It may not cause immediate stumbling, but it quietly erodes your spiritual vitality from inside, molding a version of you that no longer has an honest link to reality. And where I am leading you, toward areas bearing kingdom weight, where souls await redemption through your obedience, where the influence I give you will ripple across future generations. Pretense will deplete you, and lying to yourself will become a load no one else can handle. Yet, sweet child, I do not unveil these parts of you to disgrace you. I expose them to restore you. My aim is not to injure, but to liberate. For only when you stare into the mirror and see yourself by your true name can I erase the false image the world has tried to imprint on you. I have not summoned you to chase a new identity. I have called you to return to the authentic shape I originally molded, one that is genuine, unbound, and brimming with might. Now, amid all this spiritual stirring, with unseen transformations in the atmosphere of your life, I present to you an invaluable offering, one not readily recognized for the treasure it is: time. Yes, I am gifting you a stretch of time, not to postpone, nor as a punitive delay, but as an expression of mercy. I am granting you a sacred lull to equip yourself. I have placed you in a liminal space, between what has ended and what awaits, between your former identity and the person you are becoming, between the door that closed and the door that has yet to open, so you may reflect, listen, learn, and proceed with deliberate intention. This season is for you to realign your priorities, like a skillful builder patching the roof before the deluge. Rearrange your to-do list. Reflect on your motivations. Allow me to highlight what has been draining you, what is steering you off track. You need not enter this fresh stage with a tangled heart. Let me remove that entanglement with you. Additionally, it is a moment to extend forgiveness, both to others and to yourself. Forgiveness should not be reduced to a concept. It is a potent supernatural measure. It severs imperceptible chains, hindering your advancement. Some people have caused you hurt. Certain parts of your own nature may fill you with repulsion. But remember, you cannot walk lightly if you drag concealed weights behind you. Forgiveness signals the instant you release them to me. It is also a season to cast aside resentment, including seemingly insignificant fractions of old bitterness. This bitterness is akin to a single drop of ink in a clear glass of water, quietly clouding your entire being. If you refuse to discard it now, it will slowly contaminate the good you are attempting to establish. This is likewise a phase to gather fortitude, not the conventional notion of power, but calm tenacity, sturdy perseverance, the capacity to stand firm when no one is standing nearby. These days will serve as your spiritual workout environment, strengthening your resolve so that when the winds rage, you remain unshaken and your praise never wanes. Moreover, it is a period for sharpening your spiritual lens. Permit me to heal your vision. You have long viewed your life through a distorted filter of other people's demands, old traumas, or inner uncertainties. I want you to see with my perspective. I want you to await what lies ahead with confidence, not dread. This is also a time to approach me candidly, without hurry or formality. Inquire of me whatever you wish. I do not reject genuine questions. I do not turn away from unmasked petitions. Those who risk asking in sincerity, bearing their souls, are the ones I entrust with the hidden wonders of heaven. And if you ask, remain expectant, as I will answer, though possibly not in a predictable manner, certainly in the right moment. I have never persisted in silence before a deeply honest plea. Therefore, covenant child, recognize the significance of this particular juncture. It is not an uneventful interlude, but the antechamber of the King of Glory. I will transform every needless holdup that is not ordained by me into a vital training. Any time you spend waiting will be meaningful if you entrust it to me. Enter this readiness with an expansive spirit, with purity in your hands and tenderness in your heart. Because once this interim concludes, once I speak now, you will no longer feel hesitant. You will move not as someone unsure, but as one fully groomed to accept a mighty promise from my hand. Then you might find yourself placed in a stretch where all the voices that once encircled you vanish. No more recognizable talks, no more consistent rhythms in the connections that once kept you engaged or gave you a sense of belonging. Rather, there will be a foreign quiet, a profound hush that feels somewhat disconcerting, as if you are sidelined from an ongoing story that's not your own. But my child, don't be alarmed by this. That stillness is not me withdrawing. It indicates I am accomplishing a sacred work in the depths of your being. Yes, indeed, I may guide you into a passage of aloneness, but not as punishment. It is a tender act of holy rearrangement. Do you grasp this, my dear one? Occasionally, realigning something with its intended design involves extracting you from the scene that distorted it in the first place. Not because you don't deserve fellowship, but because I need a reverent atmosphere to reshape you according to my plan, stripped of worldly projections. No real cleansing takes place in the clamor of a crowd. No profound healing occurs in the center of commotion. In my stillness, I perform my richest transformations. You might feel as though every anchor has been severed, yet I am reconnecting unseen layers of your soul. The currents beneath the surface, the parts left unexplored, shall now surface, not as condemnation but as a path to total renewal. Not to re-break you, but to let you be reborn in a fuller, more authentic way. Only in tranquil solitude can I clear you of the cacophony ingrained by the world, the pressures dictating who you ought to be, the expectations of what to do, the outlines of what shape you must fit for acceptance. Those voices made you forget my endless love for you, a love existing regardless of your performance. And when all external sound fades, you will start hearing me once again, clearly, unmistakably, with no confusion. It is not a harsh or accusatory voice, it is not flustered or rushed. It is gentle yet brimming with authority, persuading you not to turn away, but to rest. It leads you back to your essence, ultimately returning you to me. That dim cave you took for a finale is exactly where I pour fresh oil. That barren valley you see is where my chosen ones receive their anointing. Just as David came from desolation to be anointed king, just as Elijah, despondent and frail, reclined under the broom tree, only for me to visit, feed, and speak to him. You too occupy an interim of readiness for a far loftier purpose. You have not been forsaken, you have been set aside. I do not conceal your brightness from the masses. I am focusing you exclusively on me, because there exist pressures, ties, and whispers that do not originate from me, and I know that in remaining entangled in them, your spirit is stretched too thin. I am shielding you from dangers still unseen, from traps disguised as gentle surfaces. I am safeguarding the territory of your soul, akin to a father who maintains a watchful eye as his child sleeps. My precious one, this lesson I yearn for you to absorb. See my cautions as gentle tests of love, not as harbingers of wrath. I do not speak to push you away, but to draw you in. A father who lacks concern would let his child step off a cliff in silence. But I, your father, cannot sit idle as you approach the brink of ruin without speaking. I warn because I love. I warn because I am right here with you. Such alerts do not always ring out like thunder. Sometimes they emerge as an unease in your spirit, a subtle flutter when you near something ill-advised. That is my voice. Sometimes it is a nameless anxiety, an image in a dream that remains vivid all day. That too is me. On other occasions, it might be an impulsive remark from someone else that suddenly seizes your thoughts because something in their tone resonates deeply. That is my doing as well. If you stay attuned, you will perceive that I have never truly gone silent. You just have not been tranquil enough to pick up my voice. So reevaluate how you interpret it. Do not dread my warnings. Do not assume they presage your desertion or castigation. Comprehend them as my wordless embrace, my soft voice in the still of the night, repeating, I remain here. I see you and I won't let you wander without sounding the alarm. When you begin accepting solitude as my barrier of safety and embrace my caution as a hallmark of care, you step into a new dimension with me. You grow conscious that every silent interval is not lack, but a bedrock I am reinforcing beneath you. You grasp that for each tear you cry in seclusion, I am accounting for them. Not one is wasted. Then, When that phase of muted isolation concludes, when the Spirit's wind intensifies once again, when a fresh door opens in your presence, you step forth no longer as you were. You do not feel you must prove yourself. You no longer crave an audience, because having been fashioned in obscurity, you re-emerge carrying an unmistakable light. It is precisely in that solitary state, when the external noise dulls, when your soul masters deeper listening, and when you realize warnings are not terrifying but lovingly significant, that I develop in you something more valuable than the purest gold. It is faith that does more than endure turmoil. It knows how to arise, how to operate, how to maintain composure even before the gales start to shriek. This faith does not wait for proof to trust, is not swayed by events, is not corroded by time, is not stifled by fleeting emotion. It is faith crafted in quiet, instructed through lamentation, tempered in unseen places. I am planting within you a mature faith, one that moves before seeing results, that follows without a visual path, that answers yes even when all I provide is the prompt, go. Therefore, my child, if you feel you are descending into unknown darkness, if familiar portals suddenly close, if no straightforward route is presented, you are not traveling toward wreckage. You are being led into destiny. Admittedly, the future may not be without struggle, growth rarely is, but cling to my word. You are not abandoned to drift. You are led intentionally, not by coincidence, but by my directive. You are not tossed to unseen fates by a tempest, but tugged ahead by your commission. The destination you are approaching is not a tomb. It is the exact spot where my presence will shine brightly through you. I know moments will arrive where your soul trembles, where your hand might press against your heart and ask, am I still following the correct course? Did I misunderstand you? But be assured, such confusion does not equal defeat. It exemplifies a spirit learning to step forward without typical sight. It proves a transference of power from your own grasp into mine. And within that critical transformation, I am shaping your inner being into a sturdy vessel, one that won't leak, that won't fracture under pressure, that won't deform when tested by human words. A vessel robust enough to bear the heavenly outpouring I am preparing. What I have prepared for you is not insignificant. It surpasses mere comfort, more than any consoling phrase, more than a reward for your fatigue. What I am placing in your grasp is influence, but not an influence for your personal accolade, rather an influence that draws attention to me. Not so you attract admiration, but that you mirror the realm of God. You stand on the verge of forging deeper ties, relationships formed not from insecurity or isolation, but from a higher purpose connected to my plan. I will gather around you people whose spirits, akin to yours, have been refined in the furnace, whose speech stimulates life, not just offering shallow comfort. They will not plant doubts in you, but will highlight the wealth of gifts I have embedded in you long ago. You will also gain a heightened clarity, no more mistaking what only appears righteous for what is genuinely born from me. You will never again rely on popular views to guide your path. I will show you how to discern what has my fragrance, what arrives bearing my tranquility, and what is merely a deceptive imitation. Your insight will no longer derive from surface-level judgment, but from spiritual acuity, nurtured by profound fellowship with me. Above all, you will take hold of a new measure of spiritual authority, not for show, but for loving service, not to stir applause, but to snap the chains that bind souls. I will speak through you with a force that penetrates the most guarded recesses of a person's heart. I will give your hands a consecration potent enough to alarm the powers of darkness. Your intercessions will cease to be quiet murmurs. They will be declarations that unsettle even the thresholds of evil. You will no longer live meekly, but as a messenger bearing an unquenchable flame. You will abandon the question, Lord, who am I for such a role? And instead utter, Lord, I cannot, yet you can, so here I am. For it is precisely when you grasp your own insufficiency that my strength floods in boundlessly. Hence, my child, dread not the impending days. Do not allow the reports, the circumstances, or the dark murmurings to unsettle your heart. Keep in mind, you are not walking into ruin. You are stepping into a divine revelation. And I, who initiated my good design in you, will watch it mature until the culmination of all things. I do not desert what my hand has touched. I do not back away from the ones who have said, "Here, Lord, use me." I do not avert my gaze from souls who dared to answer yes amid desolation. You are such a soul. You said yes. Thus you shall witness my splendor not merely enveloping you, but pouring through you into arenas still untrodden. My beloved, along with every noteworthy gift, the filling of my spirit, the calling to action, the authority in the spiritual realm, and the bonding with deeper fellowship, there comes another obligation of no lesser gravity, the dedication to sanctity, to parting ways with mediocrity, and to progressing in godly wisdom. None can carry the brightness I bestow unless they consent to being molded in secret. No one can hold the holy flame without learning to live differently from the crowd. You were never intended to align with the majority. You were not created to move with the established current. I appointed you there to be a fresh stream, one vigorous enough to alter the landscape. That cannot materialize unless you are prepared to part from ease, willing to refuse voices speaking beneath my call. Setting yourself apart is not deprivation. It is the sole environment where true greatness can flourish. When you truly listen, not just with physical ears, but with a soul softened in my presence, you will gain more than guidelines. You will grasp real life. I will provide the stamina to overcome what causes others to stumble. Indeed, there is no shortage of people who begin ablaze but fail to preserve discernment until the end. Many once glowed brilliantly, only for their spark to die when they neglected the protective disciplines. However, if you commit to stillness, to meditation before taking action, to wait before you speak, the snares awaiting to trap you will remain ineffective. If you walk in obedience, even when that route perplexes bystanders, even when it costs you human acceptance, you will conquer waves meant to drown you. You will not be carried away by the torrent of your emotions or rattled by abrupt disruptions. You will not just exist, but keep a peace immune to theft. You will tread not by mortal might, but by my leading, and you shall never sink because your gaze stays trained upon me. If you decide to trust completely, beyond all limits, thoroughly, wholeheartedly, you will witness my hand acting in ways far beyond any formula or pattern. I will unbar passages none dare to approach. I will part seas and form bridges over chasms. I will transform impossibilities into declarations of my glory, not primarily to astonish spectators, but to reassure your own soul that I am the immutable, devoted Lord. And once you exercise this type of faith, you will no longer insist on my thorough explanations. No longer will you demand an all-inclusive blueprint, for you trust me, your navigator. You will lose your craving for immediate proof because you have grown to identify my internal whisper. You will cease fearing disorientation, confident that I will clasp your hand even if darkness encloses you on every side. Beloved, I recognize you have been deceived. I know you pinned your faith to false companions, cherished those who caused you heartache, ventured down routes strewn with sorrow, yet none of this makes you worthless to me. On the contrary, these exact trials have softened you, made you authentic, primed you for my molding, provided you entrust me with every shattered aspiration, every incomplete query, all the shame that lurks in your darkness. I will create wonders from fragments that society dismisses. But this can only manifest if you're willing to live a life set apart, abandoning the clamoring for man's applause, leaving behind your comfortable bubble, entering the dimension of divine commissioning, swapping what is agreeable for what is sacred, and accepting that heavenly logic will render you strange in worldly judgment. Your role was never to be universally understood, but to be guided by me. Continue on this path. Do not shrink away when the road becomes shadowy. Do not quit when resolutions are delayed. Do not withdraw when no one stands beside you. You will become a tabernacle of my presence, a carrier of the kingdom's climate, a person whose steps induce spiritual changes. Not because you are inherently extraordinary, but because you gave me your all. Not because you were conspicuous, but because you embraced the narrow route, letting me walk intimately, unchallenged by competing influences. So, dear child, do not be amazed when I keep separating you from old communities. Do not be downhearted when I encourage you to counter the prevailing stream. Do not be mystified when your surroundings descend into silence, for it is in that silence that I carefully lay an unseen foundation. One day, when that portal swings wide, when my designated time arrives, you will step forward unwavering, sharpened, and filled with grace, not as someone who merely lasted, but as one who has been consecrated. And then you will no longer puzzle over why I restrained you or imparted lessons through tears or allowed loneliness to settle so that you could hear my gentle prompting. You will recognize that every action, every pause, every intervention was because I readied you not just to endure, but to lead, to shape, to leave a legacy on this generation. I molded you through your very wounds, through the confidence you clung to, through that profound bond we nurtured in the hush of consecration. And in an unstable world where days pass like raging winds of uncertainty, where each morning you rise bearing unresolved queries, where your heart quakes amid mixed reports, abrupt changes, and shattered vows, remember this: my gaze has never shifted from you. While the world roils in disorder and instability, I stand unmoved. I remain the reliable one. Amid each tremor, I remain your sure source of boundless devotion and a serenity defying explanation. My love does not fluctuate the way human fondness does. It is not worn away by time, not dictated by moods, nor does it recede when you misstep. It remains unyielding, unchanging, expansive enough to veil even your most concealed heartaches. The peace I bestow differs from all superficial consolation you have known. It is rooted not in favorable events, but in my abiding nearness during calamity. Even if the entire realm crumbles, my peace stands like a fortified fortress. If human hearts waver, my peace endures like a hidden river meandering through the desert. Envision, truly trust in your deepest essence that you and those you hold dear are safeguarded under an impenetrable heavenly shield. Do not restrict your view to the physical realm. Look with eyes of faith. Picture them shielded like newborn chicks under a great eagle's wings. Envision every stride they take, each nightly rest they embrace as protected by my invincible covering, a place the shadows cannot seize, harm cannot penetrate. For my guardianship over you is more than a theological abstraction. It is tangible. It pulsates with every breath you draw. Regardless of whether you acknowledge it, my watchful hand hovers over you. My assurances to you are not bound by timelines or conditions. They are sacred strands woven into your everyday experiences. Every step, every utterance, every turning point, each is entrusted to my flawless governance. And as you stand at intersections clouded with uncertainty, forced to choose between what logic advises and what I quietly tell your spirit, when opportunities arise but the proper path remains hazy, when the clamor of public opinion merges into a swirl of rationale and feeling, keep in mind, you do not walk alone. I am ever present, not as some distant observer, but as a faithful companion, walking next to you each step. I do not direct you from on high. I guide you by your side. I see your fatigue from bearing too many loads. I witness the long nights of tossing and turning, weighed down by secrets you cannot share. I hear the unspoken laments of your soul, pleas never vocalized yet booming before my throne. You need to know, you are not supposed to bear anxiety alone. You do not have to treat skepticism as a mandatory step in your journey, or let fear become your nighttime companion. Your purpose is not to live in panic. I did not design you for each day to be a dispute over doubts. You were destined for the calm that is the birthright of a beloved child. In me, you can unburden yourself. I am welcoming you as a father, arms extended, calling out to a child who has finally found their way. Lean into my embrace. Surrender whatever is weighing you down. Let me carry your load. I do not care for you with a demanding oversight. I watch over you with a father's empathy, aware of every shadowed fear lurking within. When you are frail, I do not chastise. If you veer off path, I do not yank my hand away. If you slip up, I do not hide my face. Quite the opposite. During such times, I draw closer than before. And so when you choose to pause in the midst of the world's rush, no longer searching for my voice among the throng, but looking for it within stillness, you will perceive something no one else can give. A profound revitalization drawn from my spirit alone. It is not a superficial switch, not a temporary emotional high during a worship service, not a spark of motivational fervor. It is a silent yet all-encompassing transformation, unfolding in the everyday tasks, in each step you take. When you resolve to walk in intimate fellowship, rather than simply replicating devout customs. By approaching me with a spirit that is both sincere and yearning, you will observe that what I am doing in your soul surpasses any transformation you have known. You will no longer be unsettled by the world's frenetic pace. The elements that formerly perplexed or drained or made you question your worth will begin dissolving. Now, instead of letting outer influences define your state of mind, you are living from inside, flowing from the spring of life, from that profound bond between you and me, from the spot where my living word strengthens you and my gaze, full of love, reshapes you entirely. Then, once you step out of that concealed chamber, bearing an unstealable peace, recognize this. My energy is continuously active around you, not just when you feel it, but also in moments you cannot sense it. I am persistently orchestrating events in your favor. I am realigning each segment, unraveling every knot, reviving what seemed irreparable. Now, every step you take is no longer a wearisome effort, but a proclamation. I have been commissioned. I advance before you, clearing doors no one else can close, portals you believed were definitively sealed, endeavors you assumed were behind you, thresholds at which you once stood weeping in futility. Now they open, not owing to your merit, but because of my unwavering pledge. And when I open a door, no force can slam it. No negative comment can derail my will. No obstacle can postpone the hour I have ordained. The accusations, the mocking stares, the worldly constraints, they all recede. I am dusting away the remnants that covered your perspective. I replace whispers of uncertainty with my affirmation from on high. You are no longer trapped by incomplete pledges or unhealed injuries. Your errors are powerless to chain you, because my cleansing covers not just the surface, but the root. I did not merely wipe the board clean. I laid a new foundation altogether. I did not just patch what was damaged. I remade it from the core. The setbacks once feeding your self-accusation, causing you to shun the mirror at dawn, uttering, "You are unworthy," are no longer valid claims. They have evolved into testimonies, no longer weights, but the entry point to a thorough renewal. Right when that renovation occurs, you will see something extraordinary and puzzling. The very pitfalls that once ensnared you will now stand as shining evidence of my mercy. The wounds that once burdened you will prove that my grace covers every aspect. You will move forward, noticing my signals all around. Doors swinging wide as if on cue, dialogues that seem trivial but carry my confirmation, coincidences that defy logical sense yet align precisely in the spiritual dimension. You will find me in the smallest details, and you will learn this invaluable principle. Miracles need not always appear with blazing fire from the sky. Sometimes, the miracle is simply you proceeding with a heart at rest amidst a frenzied world. Sometimes it is you granting forgiveness with no apology in sight. It is you deciding that I am at work, even while everything around you stands static. My child, now is the point when you no longer exist as one longing for a miracle, but as one becoming a miracle for others. You will shed the identity dictated by your yesterdays, by others' remarks, by the tally of your past slips. Instead, you will be sculpted by my activity inside you, defined by the truth that I have designated you, placed my trust in you, and deployed you with the full authority of heaven. So do not shrink from the fresh path. Do not falter at the sight of new openings. Do not look backward as if the past could safeguard you. Turn a deaf ear to voices that misguided you once. Proceed with eyes lit by hope, with a heart overflowing with peace, with hands ready to embrace my gifts. You are not a casualty of destiny. You are a vessel of my mission. In the moments you feel lacking, unqualified, not righteous enough, not resolute enough, remember, I never demanded flawlessness. What I seek is a heart that willingly says, "Here I am, offer me that, and I will handle everything else." While you journey on, steadily in faith, not because you have the entire layout, but because you trust the one holding it, your days will evolve like a soothing melody, where my kindness becomes a refrain of grace whispering through your life. I do not simply manifest in breathtaking spectacles or in astonishing marvels. I manifest in the most ordinary of moments. In your initial inhale of the morning, in the gentle compassion of a passerby, in the subtle but unyielding strength that carries you when you are certain you might crumble. By remaining faithful and rooted in my presence, you start to notice the sacred strands invisibly weaving a grand tapestry named your life. Each thread picked with purpose, each hue chosen with intention. Slowly, you come to appreciate that randomness does not truly exist. I am at work, not from afar, but woven through every circumstance. I am orchestrating not only in easy times, but also in those that appear darkest. Even when you conclude I have gone silent, I am in motion, operating for your ultimate good, despite your current lack of clarity. Be at peace, my child. You are never deserted in a maze. I beheld your every step from ages past. No detour escapes my eye, and no challenge has gone unmeasured by me. You are being led not by vague fortune, but by precise love. A love free from haste, that never loses track of its aim, that knows precisely the path you must tread. And my dearest, when you yield your deepest self to me, stretching your faith beyond mere mental assent, living out your trust in uncertainty, practicing obedience when the outcome is blurred, and praising in your moments of heartbreak, you then elevate my name more than any anthem or sermon. That is authentic worship, living daily as though I am tangible, loving others as though I express my love through you, walking in trust as though my heavens have already broken open, though the ground shakes beneath your feet. I invite you to walk with a faith unbound. Do not confine me to narrow human frames. Do not restrict me to what has or has not previously occurred. Expand your heart, stretch your potential to hope. Yearn to witness my intervention in ways your mind hasn't dared to imagine. Live as one convinced that my miracles persist, because indeed, they do. Along the way, recall that my affection for you is not restricted to your victories. It does not shine only on your days of success or strength. My care for you is not shaped by your feelings. It does not shift with your performance. It remains present constantly, in every grin, in each worry, in the brief stops when you exhale, in those nights you feel despair winning. I do not cherish you based on your error-free living. I love you simply because you are mine, and that devotion is unchangeable. Therefore, proceed each day with the awareness of being profoundly cherished. Only by grasping that your worth is unconditional can you truly exist in that fullness. There you rediscover your identity, free from the terror of missteps, confident that even if you slip, I realign your course. You hold deeper reservoirs within than you currently recognize. Not only untapped abilities, not just latent yearnings, but empowerment that I placed inside you from the start. You carry true strength, not loud or brash, but a quiet stamina capable of standing firm in silence. You hold genuine wisdom, not to emerge victorious in debates, but to unfailingly choose what is right in obscurity. And you hold genuine courage, not intended for accolades, but to remain steadfast and preserve your purity of heart. These traits are not random. I stitched them into your soul before your birth. They signify your purpose. You are not an afterthought. You are an integral component of my unending masterpiece. Because of that, I will never allow a single hardship to befall you without providing a route through it. I will not permit a single storm wind to touch you without ensuring it carries fresh lessons, fresh expansions, or new openings for your roots to strengthen in me. If a day comes when you feel swept by the tides of life, when your path appears murky, when all that remains to grip is my murmur, I am present, that alone suffices. Because I am the light, the path, the truth. You do not have to build the road alone. You only need a tender heart ready to follow. If your inner being can still perceive me, then I can guide you anywhere in accordance with my wishes. Now, present to me your sincerest prayer. Let your lips express these words. Lord, if someone is set to depart from my life by your sovereign choice, help me avoid grasping them out of alarm or remorse. Grant me gratitude for the season they occupied, and teach me to release them without bitterness but in peace. If I cannot see the reason, please grant me a tranquility beyond my limited sense. And if emptiness begins to echo, let it be you, Lord, who enters and occupies that space with your presence. Lord, I believe that their leaving does not equate to my demise. They may leave without explanation, but I trust you do nothing without a heavenly goal. Grant me spiritual vision to discern your hand at work through the silence. Protect my heart from callousness, from hate, from the impulse to cast blame. Even if tears must fall, let them irrigate the ground you have readied for planting. Lord, I do not wish to replace what you have withdrawn. When someone departs discreetly, I often want to fill that gap hastily. But today, I plead for patience. Keep me from filling that vacancy with fleeting substitutes. Be the one to occupy that hallowed place. May your essence fill the void, not another human being. Teach me to be alone with you first, even before I learn how to be together with someone else. Lord, train my heart to greet the new person with readiness. I recognize the one you will send is not a medal for me, but a sacred responsibility. Help me receive them not with shaky hopes, but with a heart polished by solitude. Teach me not to judge by outer impressions or words, but to separate the genuine mark of your spirit. Help me refrain from shutting the door because of bygone hurt, nor flinging it wide out of desperate need. Lord, cleanse the soil of my spirit before the new entry. Purge from me stale hopes, unresolved recollections, and hidden parallels. Utilize your divine peace to purify my heart's field so the seeds can be wholly yours, free from false illusions. Chase away each stubborn shadow that blurs my outlook. Clear the entire space so your spirit might fully fill it. And Lord, if the departing individual has accomplished their commission, assist me in releasing them with appreciation. I refuse to blame or harden my heart because of their leaving. If their role has indeed concluded, deter me from gripping them. Teach me to bid them farewell with a blessing, not resentment. Preserve the gentleness in me, so that after they depart, I remain filled not with anger, but with thankful remembrance of all you did in that chapter. Lord, offer me keen judgment for the next connection. I have no desire to be governed by fleeting whims or to be pulled by the throbbing ache of loneliness. Let your radiant clarity be upon me, so I can plainly spot who is genuinely sent from you and who is simply a stand-in I created from my own longing. Instruct me to wait for your confirming voice and resist forging ahead rashly. If something is not from you, grant me bravery to refuse, even if it shines seductively on the surface. Lord, when familiar voices are no longer within reach for conversation or trust, lead me to search for you first. When every human anchor is gone, be the fortress I find confidence in. When the counsel I used to rely on disappears, let your voice rise stronger. Do not let me be consumed by my turbulent emotions. Shape my spirit to hear you clearly in your holy quiet. Lord, when that destined soul arrives, empower me to both receive and reciprocate. Make me a place of tranquility, a person no longer tethered by old shadows. Soften me to empathize, expand me to strengthen others, and grant me the discernment not to turn them into my rescuer but to accompany them as a fellow traveler. Shape me into the spiritual ally you have always desired for me to be, stable, anchored, and complete in you. My beloved child, if this word reached you, it's because your spirit was ready to hear it. I didn't bring you here for a moment of emotion. I brought you here for a movement of transformation. You've tasted clarity. You've felt my whisper. But this is only the beginning. Return often, not just to listen, but to discern. Each word shared here is a continuation of what I've already begun speaking to you in the secret place. Subscribe, not for information, but for alignment. Turn on notifications, not for updates, but for divine timing. Leave a comment, not to be seen, but to confirm your yes to what I've said. Share this, not to promote content, but to deliver a message that could be someone's lifeline. This channel is more than a voice, it's a vessel, and I will meet you here, again and again, until every promise I've whispered becomes the reality you walk in. Don't drift, don't delay, come back. The next word I release may be the answer you've been praying for. Amen.